last week is going to be a kind of a we're kind of condensing the podcast so we can do more fun stuff with our guests. But this week I wanted to talk to you guys about focus. So, do you have any problems with focus? We'll just go down the line. I'll tell you right now, ADHD. So yes, I have problems with focus. But I'm interested to hear from you guys. Like, is that something you struggle with when you're creating something? Do you find it hard to take something from beginning to end and get from inception to like actual completion?
I find
weirdly sexual. I apologize.
Well, for me, I do a lot of stuff on the computer, whether it's music or making websites and things like that. And I find focus to me, it's you work for it. So the first hour or so that I'm working, there's not a whole lot of focus. But the more you get into something and the longer time I find like in one sitting, then I'm really focused. So, like 4 or 5 hours into a project, there's nothing else going on. That's all that's going on. So to me, it's like you got to put yourself in the position to get into that mode. So when I'm working, I'll always set myself up and I'll start with, whatever emails and all of that. And then try and ramp my way up into that thing that I really need to be focused on. But it's certainly a challenge.
Huh. Now, I'm interested to hear, like, as a painter, do you find that you start things and then never finish them? Or are you the type of person who just takes things from beginning to end?
You know what, once upon a time, because I was such a perfectionist, I would always start things and not finish them. But I feel like, for me, now especially, focus is a good, trigger for me. I realize that if it's easy for me to become focused, then I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing. That's a reflection of whether or not you're following your passion and you're following your dreams, because when you're doing what you're supposed to be doing, it's easy to focus. You have this burning desire and you become completely involved in what you're doing.
That's a great point, because especially for me doing this, like I have struggled to focus on things for my entire life, but when I'm editing these podcasts, it's not a problem at all. So I had that sort of thought this morning, I wonder, and I sort of back to it, no, that can't be it. Because all those things like taxes, but that's a different game, really. But I love that idea that it's you have to just, if you're focused on something, you're probably passionate about it.
That's right.
Tom?
Yeah, I was just gonna try and clarify, when I'm working on something creative, it's a lot easier to get into that zone. Especially with so much going on in life, it's hard to find the time to okay, now I've got hours to just, or I only have 20 minutes to bust this out. I got to get on it. It's real easy to just be nope, emails off, phone's off, everything's out of the room. I'm just doing this. And I can really shut it down. I find when I'm doing something I'm not as passionate about, like working and fixing a water line leak, I'm doing it because I have to do it. But if somebody comes up and starts talking to me, I'm thank God I just put that down. I'm just looking for, my brain's just looking for a reason to get out of there, which is nice that most times I work alone, so I can just focus and get stuff done, mainly out of necessity. But as far as being creative, I find I'm almost the opposite of what Bob was saying. I try and get into it right away because I know I have a really small window to work with, and I find there's a sweet spot depending on what time frame I have, that probably around 3/4 of the time frame. So if I got an hour, around the half hour, 45-minute mark, I'm right in the zone. And then I usually either run out of time, or if I have an extended period of time, I just burn out. I'll come in kind of hot and then ramp it up quick. And then I'm okay, this, for example, playing guitar, I'm okay, I've been working on this one stupid delay setting for 20 minutes. It's time to stop and walk away and then come back to it. I'm not even playing my guitar right now. I'm just turning knobs. It's all about trying to get what it is, the essence of what you're trying to get out as quickly as possible, I find, or else you'll end up changing things. Yeah. Just get it out. Just get going. Huh. That's just the way my mind works.
I'm really curious because painting is just it's a mystery to me. I tried when I was younger, and that's probably what broke me as a visual artist. I tried to draw and then I hit painting and I'm no, this is too difficult. I didn't know how to interpret what was in my brain on the canvas. But do you what Tom was just saying about letting the idea get away from you. Do you find that happens when you're like painting? Do you hit a point where you're like, am I thinking too hard about this?
No, but I think that's always the difference between someone who doesn't paint and does paint, is because the only difference is fear, that you never had the confidence to really go for it and try. Because you look at all the art out there that's famous, and some of it you really couldn't tell if a kindergartner painted it or an adult painted it. So it really is a reflection of what's inside of you, and if you get over that fear and you find you can just experiment, then anything's possible.
So that's a great point.
Yeah.
I feel kind of stupid for asking.
Well, I relate that immediately to playing an instrument.
That's such a good point.
Yeah.
Looking at it through that lens, yeah. I'd say that's about my students. Exactly what you just were saying about to my students all the time. Like you don't know until you can't do it until you start doing it.
Yeah.
Like
Exactly.
no one can do anything until they actually just do it, and then eventually you learn how, and it stops being scary. Like my whole like sort of motto in life. I stole this from Chris Hadfield, the astronaut, but he talked about 100 spider webs. I think it was like, hey, spider webs. If you're grossed out by spider webs, go and walk through 100 spider webs.
Yeah.
By the end of it, you're not going to be afraid of walking through spider webs anymore.
For sure.
Like it's a really good point, but like because he talks about like how do people ask him how is he not afraid to go out and do this spacewalk? He's like, you just do it.
Yeah.
And once you've done it enough, it stops being scary. He's
Yeah,
like,
definitely.
that's such a good point. Like, and I think starting out is when focus is the hardest too, right? Like when you're like, oh, I'm not good at this yet. So yeah. Anyways.
And getting over that fear is also what's going to separate you as an artist, because I teach that as one of the main things in all my classes, is that yes, you can learn all the techniques, and I teach all the different color theory and the basics of art, but what's going to separate you is when you follow your heart and you can dream something in your mind and try to get it onto a canvas or onto a piece of paper.
100%. I immediately just thought like, oh, I could never do this stuff. And I just saw Tom Sachs. Do you guys know Tom Sachs? He's a kind of like mixed media artist. And this week, I just saw that he made a Chanel guillotine. Just a guillotine that just got branded Chanel. Is amazing. And he does all sorts of cool stuff. Like he did like a mission, a moon mission, but it's just like, he just designed his own lander, put it in this like little thing, and made everyone go through it. Anyways, Tom Sachs is amazing. Go check out his art; it's so cool. But yeah, like if that wouldn't have happened, and if someone asked me like, should I make this guillotine and brand it Chanel? I'm like, no. But as soon as it's done, you're like, oh man,
That's great.
That's really cool that someone did this. So sometimes it really is just the bravery to just go out and do that thing that's in your head.
Yeah, well, like I said, I keep relating things back to music. It's like when you take singing lessons, and it's like most people suck, and you got to squeak through it to train your voice to get good. I imagine painting would be really similar. Is you got to figure out like how to do proportions or how to do colors, but you can't really learn it without doing it.
Exactly. Yeah.
Cool.
You just have to suck for a while.
Yeah.
It's just
Such
like,
as life.
If you're an aspiring creative out there, or even someone who just likes to tinker in their garage, if you're finding it hard to get started, just suck for a while, because everyone does, and I still suck all the time. Because every once in a while, you're just like, you try something new and you just suck at it. So just.
I was gonna say, isn't that like the
do it.
best part about being an artist? Is like that's really all it is. It's just hiding when you suck.
I think that's why so many artists have that like the fear of calling themselves an artist, because they're so aware of the fact that there's nothing different about them innately than anyone else. It's just that they're doing it.
Yeah,
and that's why so many people have that like imposter syndrome.
I just want to,
Anyways.
before we wrap this up, I just want to say, like, sometimes doing things the wrong way because you suck can open doors to totally new ways of creating and getting to an end goal you didn't see that was there. So just get out and do it, because you might stumble upon something no one else has ever done.
And just like everything in life, there's always something you can focus on that you did do right.
Yeah.
So yes, learn from your mistakes, but keep focusing on the things that you do right every time, and that helps drive you forward.
Exactly.
Beautiful. I think we'll go out on that. All right. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Twitter, we are at Cahoots. And do you have Twitter or Facebook or anything
I
where
have
people can find you?
I'm Jessica Cormier Studios on Facebook, and I have a website, jessicacormierstudios.com.
Awesome. So those links will be in the description. And also, Instagram, cahoots.entertainment is us on there. And Facebook, well, if you're watching this, then you already have us on Facebook. So thanks for watching, and we'll see you next week. Thanks, Jeff.
Thank you for having me.